Hello there! Welcome back everyone to the DC20 RPG pre-alpha sneak peek. Today we'll be taking a look into the damage, weapons, and armor of DC20 RPG. This is the third episode in the series, so if you haven't watched the other two, pause this video, go watch them, and come back. Starting off, we'll be taking a look at damage. DC20 is going to handle damage in a very interesting way that I haven't seen before in other systems. Dealing damage in games like D&D and Pathfinder usually involves needing just lots of dice to do your damage, and then rolling all those dice and adding everything up just takes time. You know, it might not be a lot of time, but it adds up over the course of a single combat or a whole session or a campaign. You know, I've played with people with low attention spans, and you know, once the dice start rolling and the numbers start getting counted, they just, boom, zone out.
Do you ever look at someone and wonder what is going on inside their head?
How DC20 attempts to solve it is to break down nearly all of these rolls down to one d20. If you meet an enemy's AC, you'll deal your weapon's damage, which we'll cover more on later, so stay tuned. But if you beat the enemy's AC by 5, then you'll deal extra damage, and this continues at every 5 you beat it. These levels of successes have names, so meeting the enemy's AC is a hit, beating it by 5 is a heavy hit, by 10, a brutal hit, and by 15 is a heavy brutal hit. Every 5 after that still continues to deal more damage, but the name is just still heavy brutal. On a nat 20, you just add a flat +2 on top of whatever damage you were already adding. I know +2 doesn't sound like a lot, but we'll cover that in a bit. So, unlike other TTRPGs where rolling a 30 to hit doesn't really mean anything or have any impact on damage, in DC20, because the hit and damage rolls are combined, rolling a 30 is just as hype as it should feel. Example time. We'll keep it simple at first. So let's say you're a fighter and it's early levels. You encounter a wild goblin. The goblin's AC is 10, and let's say you roll a 9 and you add +3 from your prime modifier, for a total of 12. That's a hit. Now you would deal your weapon's damage. No need to roll anymore. But let's say you would roll a 15. Well, you beat the AC by 5, so that's a heavy hit. So now you would deal your damage +1. The idea of +5 scaling applies to a lot of things in DC20. For example, healing spells will heal a fixed number of health.
I need healing.
But you would have to make a spell check to see how well the spell works. For every 5 you beat the check, you would add more health that you heal. As a note, spells that cost mana will still have a diminished effect even if you fail the spell check, but on a nat 1, your spell would fizzle out. But spells can be in its own video down the line. So with the basics of how damage works out of the way, let's take a look at weapons. This is a section of the pre-alpha light weapons table. Now you may notice right off the bat that the weapons mirror each other, and that's generally the case for all of the weapons. Melee weapons and ranged weapons are divided into categories: axe, bow, chained, crossbow, punctured, staff, sword, thrust, unarmed, whip, and special. The light weapon counterparts all have 3 weapons in each category, and their features generally mirror each other. The smallest weapon deals 1 damage, can be thrown, and is concealable. The middle child of the lightweight weapons deal 2 damage and can be thrown. The big boys, but not yet ready for the heavyweight division, deal 2 damage, but can be wielded in 2 hands to raise the damage from 2 to 3. That's a general rule anyway. Unarmed weapons all deal 2 damage but use different types, and some weapons like whips have reach, and the special weapons are special. Now to address the elephant in the room. You, get out. Shoot, shoot! Did I say that some weapons only deal 1 damage? Yes I did. Don't worry though. While you may be dealing damage in smaller numbers, the health of everyone is also scaled down. The dungeon coach has said that enemies compared to D&D will have roughly 3 or 4 times less health. He used to be a maths teacher, so I'll trust him to handle the scary numbers. To those who like big numbers and are skeptical, this helps to put things in perspective. Dealing 4 damage to something with 10 HP is the same as dealing 40 damage to something with 100 HP. Your damage numbers may be small, but relative to enemy HP, it's pretty good. Okay, back to weapons. Here you see the ranged weapons. Nothing big to note here besides that you start to see requirements for weapons. With whips and ranged weapons, you need to have at least a +1 in your agility. But that's all. You could still have charisma be your highest score and be the one affecting your prime modifier. Heavy weapons, like light weapons, also mirror each other. The small big boys deal 3 damage and are two-handed with reach. And the biggest boys all deal 4 damage and are two-handed weapons, but require at least a +2 in might to wield.
But if all weapons are the same, what does it matter what you pick?
Well, that's because each weapon have active and passive properties, and there may be features or maneuvers that you can only use with a certain type of weapon. You can pause here and take a look.
It's armoring time.
Oh, that's a lot to take in. Maybe let's take this one step at a time. Okay, first off, this table is out of date. I believe that the naming system for the armors have changed, and the costs are just placeholders. And there may be other tweaks. We'll find out when the alpha's officially out. So what are we looking at then? Well, here you have how you work out your AC, or your armor class. 8 plus your agility, plus your combat mastery, which is half your level, and an AC bonus from your armor. Now what do these golems mean? Here we have the AC bonus. Here we have the limit to how much agility you can add. And as you can see, normally there's no limit. Here we have the might requirements. Starts with no requirements to having at least a 0 and then at least +1. Easy. Lastly, we have whether you have disadvantage on your stealth and acrobatics checks. Normally you don't, but you can customize your armor. Maybe you head to a blacksmith to customize your armor, or maybe you buy or find it already customized. Well, for light armor, you can reinforce it, raising your AC by 1, but now you can only add a maximum of 2 from your agility when working out your AC. Perfect for anyone who hasn't actually invested much into their agility. Next, you could have bulky light armor to increase your AC by 1, but now you have disadvantage on agility checks. You could have reinforced bulky light armor. DC20 doesn't have medium armor, but you could effectively customize your light or heavy armor to sort of find a middle ground of medium armor. Onto heavy. Not much new here to explain except for how working out your AC works, so instead of adding your agility, you now add your might. And the new column AR, which stands for armor reduction. But I'm pretty sure the name has changed to DR, or damage reduction, because the previous name was a bit confusing. So your damage reduction reduces the damage you take by that value. But damage reduction only works when you take a regular hit, meaning if it was a heavy hit or more, then you don't factor in your damage reduction because the hit was so strong that it bypassed your armor's defenses. And then you have the customized options that you can see here. Lastly, shields. Really nothing fancy here, so just pause and have a read of those if you'd like. So that brings this video to an end. Hope you guys enjoyed, and if you have any ideas for what you want to see in the next DC20 sneak peek, let me know in the comments below. Hit the like button, destroy the subscribe button, and consume more content. Consume. 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 Bye.